Welcome to the Real Estate Pros of Houston podcast, where host Mark Zachary talks to high-producing real estate agents in the Houston area about their story and what makes them so successful. Each episode, our guests will tell you what they're doing that works and what makes them so successful, as well as insights that will help you take your business to the next level. Now, here's Mark delivering a true real estate pro of Houston.
Hey everybody, Mark Zachary here, and welcome to this week's podcast, Real Estate Pros of Houston. And today we have Cory with us, and Gutowski is her last name, and she works in the. Actually, I'll let her tell you where all she works, but is in the Spring area and has been in the business quite a while. Has a great reputation in the business and has a family history in the business. So we're real excited about Cory joining us today and telling us her story. And we'd like to make sure that we're giving you, the general public, some visibility to some of the top agents in the business, especially here in the Houston area. So Cory, we appreciate you joining us today.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. This is awesome.
All right. Well, good. Well, I always like to start our podcast with a pretty generic question, and then we'll just ask some questions based off of what my your answers are. But just tell us your story. How long have you been doing this? Where are you from? How long you've been in the Houston area, and so on?
Yeah, so I've been doing real estate for 13 years. I'm 31 years old, and it just comes from me being in a brokerage that's all family for the most part. Now we have somewhere between 70 and 80 agents, but my broker is my aunt, and so that really was a huge part of my success, is having her as well as other family members just be such huge mentors to me. Because I got my license as soon as I turned 18.
I was about to say, if you've been doing this 13 years, you probably started when you were 12.
Yeah. And nobody wants to buy a house from a 12-year-old. So, it just is a lot of hustle, hitting the pavement, a lot of grit, a lot of learning experiences. And I'm just really, really lucky and blessed to have had that type of brokerage and that family connection, because that's really a huge part in any agent's success these days, I think, is just having that mentorship and just someone, hands-on experience and not screwing up too bad in your first couple of years. So,
yeah. So are you originally from this area?
Originally from Houston. We moved out to Matagorda County, which is further on the coast, South Texas, between the ages of when I was about 12 to when I graduated high school. And then I moved back to Houston, which is originally where I'm from, Houston, Texas. And I've just been more about the city life, just the fast pace. And I love the energy of Houston. I love the people here. I love all the craziness. And so it's been fun. It's been fun to work the business here. And I've been here ever since. So.
Yeah, I grew up in the Austin area and then went out to Phoenix for a year, oversaw the mortgage operations for Pulte Homes. And when me and my wife got married, we always said, we'd love to move to Dallas. We would love to move to San Antonio and try those cities out. And we always had one city that we said, I would never live there. And that was Houston. and here we are. We've been here 16 years. Yeah. And I absolutely love it. It is a great place to live. So what are some things that you love to do around the city that, that just attracts you to stay here?
Well, everybody that lives here knows that Houston is a foodie population. We have all the best foods, all of everything. And I think, too, what differentiates makes us so different from maybe not so much Austin. Austin has great food, too. But like Dallas and places like that, is there is something to do in Houston every single weekend. I mean, we have festivals on festivals, concerts. you name it. I mean, any kind of outdoor goat yoga activity you can think of. There's just
We got the big rodeo going on right now.
we got the big Houston rodeo, and we usually will go to the cook-off every year. We get invited to go to that, and that's really fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Houston is just such a fun town to be in, and it doesn't matter if you're in your early 20s, or now I have a 2-year-old. So there's just so much to do, even to take your kids to do during the day on the weekends. So it's just
Yeah.
a fun town. It's be really hard for me to ever leave.
A 2-year-old, boy, you got your hands full, don't you?
I have a 2-year-old, and I actually have another little boy on the way.
Oh,
So we're
really?
doing that. Yeah.
Well, congratulations. What's the
Thank
due
you.
date?
July 17th. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. My daughter, I'm going to have my first grandson
Oh my gosh.
coming up in May. And so we're really excited about that. We're like, can you do a microwave thing and really make this go faster? And yeah,
Yeah.
we can't. Yeah, there's no we can't, but we're super excited. So a boy, you said a boy?
I have a 2-year-old son now, and then I have
Okay.
another boy on the way. And that's kind of like our, I guess, golden ticket, if you will, because on our National Women's Day, most of my family is girls. I have 4 sisters, no brothers.
Okay.
And like our business, our brokerage is predominantly female. We have a ton of amazing women that just really just kick some butt, doing some great sales. And so I guess I'm bringing the boys in now. So everybody's like,
Well, you can get them into this business early
Mhm,
and teach them well and teach them to how to grow their business and
mhm.
so yeah, there's great opportunity for sure. Well, congratulations
Thank you.
on the new one coming in July. I'll have to touch base with you from time to time to see how that's going. And
Yeah.
like I said before we started the recording, I'll get you to the invite on our coffee club that we meet at on 249 in Cypress Woods. So,
Yeah. That'd be
well,
great.
great. Well, I'm gonna have to connect with you on Facebook so I can watch the progression of of your deliveries.
Yeah, and I don't know what it is, but I just get into like fight or flight mode, I guess, on this time. I worked
Yeah.
until I was about 2 weeks before delivery last time. I just
Oh my gosh.
yeah, it's not it's just because I had a good pregnancy, I wanted to do it, and this time around, I'm just I don't know, like, I'm just, I wanna do all I can before the next one comes around, I guess, so
Yeah.
I'm just kind of
Well,
freaking out a little, but it's okay.
my daughter has not had one issue with her pregnancy. She hasn't been
Oh, that's
sick
good.
or anything. I'm like, man, this is, you don't know how lucky you are
Yeah.
because, that's not always the case.
Right, right.
So, well, listen, that's great information. I'm very happy for you. And I'll definitely follow you on Facebook and we'll be watching you for sure.
Great.
So, so tell me a little bit about your first time to buy a house. What kind of experience did you have, and then did that have any um, bearing on you getting into this industry?
Yeah. So, ironically enough, as agents, I think like, and probably loan officers, we give out so much great advice. We're like, to our clients, like, because we know we're like, do this, do this. But,
Yeah.
ironically, I rented personally for a long time. Part of that was probably because, we didn't exactly know where we wanted to be in Houston. But when we did find the neighborhood, it was a good experience. I mean, I represented myself, and everything went pretty smooth. Um, but I think what happens when you do, a lot of people are nervous to buy their first home. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
And I think maybe we just kind of go through the motions so much. We're like, oh, it's fine, don't worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
We throw around a lot of lingo that they don't understand
right.
and all the acronyms, and you're like, wait, hold on, tell me
Mhm.
what that means. So you have to have somebody that leads you through that process.
Right. And it's such it's a big deal. I mean, they're taking out the biggest loan of their life, and they're trusting you to navigate them. And so, especially when we hit a lot of like little road bumps, whatever that may look like, but we know how to get around it because we're experienced. but they freak out. And anyway, so I think too, going back to like your question, when we did purchase our first home, that does kind of snowball you into, okay, well, what should, if I'm in this business, I should be investing back into real estate regardless. So that kind of snowballed our process into picking up little rental properties here and there, doing some fix and flips, and just kind of going and exploring different avenues of real estate, which has been a learning experience and really fun. You get into those fix and flips that are, you just think that, you're Joanna Gaines or something, and and so House Flippers America over here, and it's been fun, but it's been an experience. And I think that's what I love about this industry, though, is there's just so many avenues you can go down. And there's always people that have said, oh, just pick one thing and stick to it, and that's what you need to be good at. It's like, no, I mean, this is such a huge world. Like, why not try to explore as much as you're comfortable with, So, yeah.
Well, so what do you think you've learned out of the fix and flip stuff that you did not know when you started doing that?
I mean, we've done a few smaller properties, I guess you'd say. Slap some paint on the new carpet, that kind of thing. The first project that I really, which we're actually just barely getting out of right now, is it was a total zombie house fiasco. But it had such a cool history in this particular town, that I was like, okay, we're gonna do it. And God love my husband. He's just like, whatever you want to do,
He's a smart husband.
And so, the biggest learning experience with that was, the budgeting, knowing city requirements, because it was a total gut. It was a 1940s home, making sure you have trusted contractors. So, and just making sure everything is done properly. I would never want to fix a property, put it on the market, and then have all these issues. And that's your reputation, especially in a small town or wherever. So, just budgeting, knowing your numbers, this particular property, I got pretty emotionally attached. Probably shouldn't do that,
What attached you to it?
I think just this is a almost 2,500 square foot property. It was just super retro. I mean, from the time we gutted it, we turned it from a 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath to a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath. I just think that it was, to me, it was just such a cool piece of property. I love the idea of what it was becoming. And I kind of let the numbers get away from me. And, we went over budget and things like that. And it happens, I'm not mad about it.
You see all these HGTV things that they clearly go over the budget from time to time. That definitely happens.
Yeah. So, but it's been fun. I don't regret it. Did it make me cry a few times? Yeah. But
really,
it's I think from here on out, it really is just about sticking to your numbers, sticking to the facts, and not getting to, not trying to make things work when they really probably can't.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you a question on your business or personal life, however you want to address it. What are 3 non-negotiables for you? Stuff that, hey, this has to get done, or this is a super priority, and if I don't do this, then we don't do those renovation or whatever it is. What are 3 non-negotiables in your business that keep you going?
On the fix and flip side, or just like
Or
in general?
let's just the real estate side.
Yeah. I guess regarding like a certain property, or just like
like every week I've got to do this, or it's not gonna, like us. We prospect on Mondays. We call all our agents, and we make sure that how did the weekend go? Is there anything I can help you with? Then on Tuesdays we're calling all of the deals that are in the pipeline to make sure that everybody's up to date on their process. Wednesdays we're calling our database. we use the ABC 1, 2, 3 method, and then on Thursdays, we're calling anybody that is pre-approved and making sure that, okay, do you need a revised letter? So those are non-negotiables for us. We have a certain time and day that we do things,
Mhm.
and so that's what I'm trying to get at.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's super important. Like if you have a team or a brokerage to meet either weekly or however to kind of catch up and see how everything's going.
Hmm.
I don't want to give away like too many secrets, but we were, I think it was pretty safe to say um, there was a really good at least 5, 6 years that we were on at least like a 80, 85% referral basis only. I mean, we just had
Mm.
such a great referral network. And
Yeah,
that does fizzle out after time, but that was a lot about just staying like very personal with those customers, be it
yeah,
Christmas cards or just checking in or taking them to coffee or lunch here and there, like we had time to do that because then we would have our other teams, running our newer leads or, so it's just all about your
right.
system. It's all about your machine and how well you operate it. And, it's important to make time for those previous customers. Those are your repeats. Those are always going to be your better bets. So yeah, but I think it is super important now, staying relevant, I mean, just trying to see what better lead systems are out there, what the newer marketing is, what people are doing. Obviously, social media is a
Yeah.
big deal. So, just kind of routinely being on, and I honestly am pretty against like social media. I'm not against it, but I just,
I'd
you
say
know,
it's starting to wear me out. I spend a lot of time on Facebook, and I put some stuff out there fairly
mhm,
often. But
right.
man, just in the last few weeks, it seems like all that is there is just ads, and you have to
Exactly.
scroll to find pictures of your family because that's why I'm there. I don't
Yeah.
want all these ads.
Mhm. And that's the thing too, I kinda get in my head like, am I being too much? Am I not doing enough? But at the same time, it is about consistency. It's about people still seeing your face, still knowing
Right.
that you're in the business, because it did kinda get to a point where I would have people reach out and say like, "Hey, Corey, are you still a
Yeah.
realtor?" And it's like, "Yeah," but they don't know that because I haven't been active. So that's
Right.
something that we've worked on a lot more, social media, things like that. It's just kind of one of those things like you gotta stay relevant.
You do, and you got to stay in front of them because there's nothing feels more like a gut punch than you seeing a friend or somebody that just closed on the house. You're like, "What? You didn't use me? I don't understand that." And you back up and say, "Well, I didn't
Mhm.
I didn't stay in touch with them.
I
I didn't
didn't
do what
know,
I need
yeah.
to do."
And
Yeah,
that is so true. I've had repeat clients, over the years, but maybe we didn't stay in touch and they met another person, a friend that's a realtor, and then there goes the business. So
yeah.
it's just,
Do you have
but I
a
think,
set
mhm,
system that you
yeah.
follow to keep in touch with people?
Mhm. Oh, do we have a set system that we
Uh-huh.
use? Well, like I said, like the personal side of things, be it social media, Christmas cards,
Mhm.
coffee, things like that.
Okay.
Um, but as much as you can, I think it's important to take time to nurture that, but always keep focusing on your future business,
Yeah.
So the lead systems that we've combed through so many over the past several years, we're finally finding the ones that are better suited for us
Mhm.
and just kind of nurturing those. And the one thing I haven't done, I mean, we do have some people that will do like our cold calling, things like that. But the one thing I haven't done is I've never done door knocking. I've never done that. I've been too scared. So,
Yeah, I mean, do you still think that's a thing? I don't, man, if my wife was in the
mhm.
any kind of sales, I wouldn't want her walking the streets either
I
doing
know.
that. I would
You
be
know,
paranoid.
yeah. So, I apparently so. I mean, we still get plenty of people that come by our house. But
Man.
I I don't know. So, yeah, I think it's about, marketing is obviously a big thing in any sales business. I think it's just about finding the areas that you're comfortable with that work for you. I just think it's super important in whatever you do to stay natural. I never want to come off too salesy or,
Right.
so just staying natural and believable. I think that will set you apart from hopefully, any of the regular ads that are popping up on all your social media. So,
Yeah, I think you're right. I've interviewed a lot of people for this podcast,
mhm.
and a lot of them say what you're saying.
Yeah,
Just be yourself. Be
yeah,
yourself. Don't come across as a big salesy type person, and because that turns people off. It
it
turns
does.
people off on the mortgage side. Just provide the information
Hmm.
that they're looking for, and answer their questions, and then whenever they need you, if you have done a good job of doing that, they'll remember. Hey,
Yeah.
Corey's the one that helped me out in this, and she helped me find a plumber, and
Hmm.
that didn't have anything to do with buying a house, but she was there for me when I didn't need a realtor, but now that I need one,
Hmm.
she's my realtor.
And I'm glad you brought that up because that has actually been like a big part of maybe you just say like my personality or something. We're not me and my co-agents. I have one in particular that's awesome. We just really click, and that's a big part of how we operate. We're not just your agent from the time
Hmm.
you're looking for a property to the time we close. I have people call me months later, years later, just questions. Be
Right.
it what kind of mail they're getting, or if I have any good contractors, or just things like that. And we
Yeah.
always make sure to respond to that because people realize, you care. You weren't just trying to make a quick check and get out of here. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think this, and I've said this many times on my podcast. So many people are transactional focused
hmm,
that they just want that commission check on that first deal, and then
right.
they're often chasing the next deal.
Mhm.
There's nothing wrong with chasing the next deal, but
Right.
don't forget about the people that you've helped in the past. Because this business, I teach a class on the top 5 reasons agents fail,
Hmm.
and you'll be surprised that they just don't have a plan to stay in touch with those people that they've
Yeah.
closed. And you mentioned knowing your numbers.
Hmm.
Man, a lot of them don't even know their numbers because they don't know what they want to make, so they don't know how many calls they need to make to
Right.
get a lead, and then how many calls they need to how many leads they need to get a deal. And
Right.
so it's just it's training them on how to do that stuff.
Hmm. And it is. It's just, it's kind of one of those things too. Like you cannot get upset in this business. This is a thick skin business, but it's
It
just
took
all
me
about,
about 10 years to learn that.
yeah. And just when you think that you've got it and something happens and you're like,
Yeah,
oh, you get upset.
right.
But it is. It's just you can't be too upset about things, it's all a numbers game, like you said.
Yeah.
So
So tell me some challenges that you're having in the business right now.
um I think the biggest thing, and this kind of goes back to when we were talking about, like the Harvey situation, COVID, things like that. Personally, I don't believe that there's a bubble. I don't. I think that the real estate industry is just a big roller coaster. We're going to go up,
Mhm.
we're going to come down, blah, blah. The biggest challenge for us right now is having buyers and sellers just be put on hold because of the interest rates. The interest
Mhm.
rates are high right now. I think a lot of mine are kind of in around 7, 8% is kind of what we're getting. But at the same time, I mean, when my parents bought their first property when they were 20 years old, their interest
Yeah.
rate was 13%.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
had another lady tell me that her interest rate when she's in her 70s now, when she bought her first property, her interest rate was 18%, and she thought she was doing so great.
Yeah. And then
And
they
so it's like,
refinance to 13, and they think they've got away with something.
yeah, and so it's
Yeah.
just kind of like, I think people are starting to finally get out of that COVID like squishy interest rate feeling where everybody got 2, 3%.
Hmm.
I that's the first time I've personally ever seen that, and I know people have been in the industry much longer that know, but it's just, but before that we were 5 and 6% anyway.
Man,
And
you are
so,
right on. You're
mhm,
so true. I mean, if you look back over the last 3 years,
right.
they I've been in this business 28 years, and I've never seen them down at 2 and 3 and even 4%.
Yeah.
And it was the COVID deal that you're talking
Mhm.
about, and it was the federal government that bought mortgage-backed securities to keep them artificially low so there wouldn't be a total financial collapse
Right.
in this country from COVID because we
Right.
were very close to a complete collapse.
Mhm.
So they're the ones that kept those rates that low and drove them that low and kept them that low for as long as they were.
Mhm.
But all of my career, they've always been in the 5, 6, 7% range. Never, well, I say never. 2 years out of the 28, it was
Mhm.
at 2 and 3. I mean, the lowest rate I sold ever was about 2 years ago, 1.75.
Oh my god. Was it a veteran or just a regular?
Just a regular, a
Yeah. Oh my
conventional. It
god.
was like you got to be kidding me.
Wow.
The market can't sustain that. It's not good.
Exactly. You know, I
So
mean, everything comes it comes back full circle. Everything, like I said, it's just all a roller coaster. So maybe interest rates are high right now, but I think people are starting to finally realize like, hey, they're really actually pretty okay and we can
yeah,
refi next year.
yeah,
I don't know, obviously how things are going to go, but I've had plenty of mortgage officers tell me that, we should be back in hopefully the fives by next year or whatever. So it's to me, it's really not the biggest deal because at the same time during COVID, people were paying 30, 50% plus more for their homes anyway, but they're getting these low rates, and it's just like, okay, well, you're going to sit here and pay 50, 70,000 dollars over asking,
with the
but you
low
don't want
rate.
to, right? And home prices have actually dropped or leveled out here in Houston, but now you're
Yeah,
scared of the interest rate. I mean,
yeah, it
so
doesn't
it's
make
just
any
kind of
sense
pick
to
and
me either
choose.
because now you're not having to compete with 15 other offers and
Yes,
drive the price up, 30, 40, $50,000.
right.
You probably payment wise about the same
Mhm.
now as you were back then because you're not having to pay so much.
Exactly.
So,
And I would choose this market any day over COVID. I mean, that was absolutely insane. Because, like you said, we were getting 30, 40 plus offers per listing.
yeah,
And then, but then we were running around like chicken with our heads cut off trying to get our buyers into properties. And we just couldn't. And people, locals were really upset because everybody from out of state was coming and paying cash, you
true.
know? So I'm fine with this market. It's going to level out,
Yeah.
go back to normal.
Yeah. So, if you were to look back on when you started in this business when you were 12,
Mhm.
uh, what would you change or do differently than that you're like, man, I wish I would have done this faster or I
Mhm.
wish I wouldn't have done this at all? Is
Yeah.
there anything that you look back on and say, I wish I'd have changed that?
Yeah, I think it's pretty safe to say, and some of my peers, I guess you would say have done it, and so that kind of makes me think like, oh man, it's just being proactive. I think like for so long, probably because I started out so young, you skate by, you have a
Mhm.
deal that closes and you get all excited and you're just like, well, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
And I think just being more proactive, I wish I would have started um, more avenues of marketing and then also created a really good team several years ago because then I'd probably be working so hard as I am today. So,
Yeah.
but I don't regret too much. Everything is just a learning experience. But I do think that, like, obviously, if you just take even just 2 to 3 years of just really, really working for your goals, it's gonna, that's the hump you get over. And then the rest of your career is going to be pretty leveled for you. You're not gonna have to, work smarter, not harder, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you mentioned your team. Tell me a little bit about your team. Are you looking to grow your team? Are you looking to add any new agents or buyers
Mhm.
agents? Well, give me a little bit of information about your team.
Yeah, so that the team is like a work in progress. I mean, we are a family owned and operated company. Our main office is actually in Cyprus, and
Okay.
so we've branched out, and we have a couple agents that do work different areas for us: Matagorda County, Brazoria County, Dallas, San Antonio, Austin. But
Oh,
then we
okay.
also, we have other brokerages that we partner with even out of state. So we definitely are looking to add more agents. I mean, I think our company has grown quite a bit, but the more the merrier. So
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
we actually we were kind of designed as a more, I guess, more mature brokerage after a while. I think that my broker just kind of wanted, because our fees are much less. So we kind of wanted agents to come that were already experienced. We didn't really have to hold their hand so much. But that's changed. I mean, we're really looking to take good newer agents too that really want to
Okay.
work the business and learn. And so even my partner right now, or my co-agent, who I work with a lot, she's amazing. Her name is Cherie, and she operates Fort Bend County. And
Okay.
before that, she would just send me, referral after referral after referral. And so when she
Yeah.
came on, I was like, oh, there goes my cash cow, but but she's been amazing. I mean, we've really done a lot together, and she is just, we balance each other out. And so in the ways of, I've got social media, I've got the marketing, and she's got the computer smarts and all that. So
Okay. Okay.
we're actually opening a testing center off of Derry Ashford, is her idea. And it will allow testing out for your real estate license, for insurance licensing.
Really?
Um, yeah, it's gonna be off of Derry Ashford. She's opening it in April. So I'm excited about that because you when you do get enough experience in this industry, I think you kind of see that there are agents that are not well trained at all. And it
Oh
just makes
gosh.
your, yeah. And so it makes your job that much more difficult, and so, I'm excited to take on, newer agents that we can give hands-on training to.
Man, you hit the nail on the head right there. I have, like I said, I do some training, and man, I run across a lot of agents, and
Mhm.
that is a very common concern and
Mhm.
comment I get with agents that come to my classes. Like, man, I just feel like I'm out here just flopping in the
Yeah.
wind, and I'm not getting trained. I don't feel like there's any attention to my success. Now I know there's a lot of things that are being trained, and they may not go to everything that they need to. But
Mhm.
boy, I hear that a lot. That it just, man, I'm out here. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, and I never mind helping out even newer agents from other brokerages. Maybe we got a deal going on, and because the most I've learned aside from my broker is from my lenders.
Mm.
We bounce ideas back and forth, and we figure out how to make things work. And that's probably the biggest thing I'll pride myself on is finding, I don't want to say like loopholes, but always finding a way to make a transaction work
Yeah,
if we can.
sure.
And I think that that reflects a lot on your reputation and your business. And there's a big difference between agents who want to learn and they make mistakes, and then those who just try to sweep things under the rug and make a quick check. And
Yeah.
it's ethics and morals get pretty gray area. It can in this business, and so it's just so important to just keep it as straight as you can because it all comes back around.
Yeah, it just sure does. It'll come back around quicker than you think it'll come back around.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do some. I get some calls, and agents are like, well, "Where do I put this on the contract? Where do I put this on the
Right.
contract?" I'm like, "Do they not teach you how to do that in the class itself?" I
Yeah.
don't know. I
Just
guess
basics.
I need to go through the class just to see what's being taught and
Hmm.
what they're just not paying attention to. I seriously doubt that the things that they're asking about have
Hmm.
not been covered somewhere. So
Exactly. And it's like, ask all the questions you want, but that's what brings it back to just having that mentor. Because I think, not, I'm not going to name names, but there are a lot of brokerages out there that are like to their new agents, well, you have a question, refer back to the training video. You know what I mean? I don't want a training video. I want to just be able to call my broker or my supervisor and say, hey, what do I need to do here? So
Right.
yeah, but I think after recently we're starting to see a lot of the agents who aren't really built for this industry being weeded out. And I'm happy about that. So,
Amen. Is that am I being on online here? Yes,
yeah.
yes. We're the mortgage industry is the same, and
Yeah.
there's ups and downs like you talked about, and
Mhm.
they're not all the everything that happens isn't bad.
Right.
It does run people out of this business and out of this industry that don't need to be there, and
Right.
and
And
you
I
guys see it and
don't
we see it.
right. And I don't mean that in a malicious way at all. It's just, you don't want one agent or one realtor to ruin it for everybody. Because how
Right.
many times we run into clients and they're like, well, I don't want to use a realtor. I don't want to use this person because, maybe the last one wasn't truthful or ethical or what have you. So
Yeah.
it's just a really important, that's never going to change. That's a really important backbone of our industry for sure.
Well, and that's so important for people
Mhm.
to work with you and people like you and your company because
Mhm.
I heard there's what 50,000 agents between Conroe and Galveston,
Yeah, I
and
believe it.
50% of those did zero or one transaction in the last 12 months.
Oh my
So, I mean, there are a lot of people that are just part timers
God. Hmm.
that really make this industry. And I don't want to paint with the really wide brush, but they really hurt this industry, and they need to be out of this business. I believe, and a lot
Yeah.
of them do with zero or one deal because they are part timers
Hmm.
and they don't get off work till 5 o'clock, and that's why you don't get a return phone call or an email until 6 when they get home from their 40-hour a week job. So
Right. And I guess that actually is something like I really haven't thought about, but you are totally correct. I mean, because sometimes, multiple offer situations, you have to have that offer in within the hour or you're not
right,
going to get considered, just things like that. And
right,
yeah, just being in this business, if you're going to be in it, you got to be dedicated and you got to be for it.
yeah,
Because
and
that's
I don't
going to
want to
take,
say that
yeah.
there's never a time that you're having a job that pays for your marketing and things like that as you get going. But to do this as a part timer for 5 years, whatever, if it doesn't work out, maybe you need to go somewhere else. But I used to umpire baseball games, so I could put marketing material out there, but I used the money that I got from umpiring baseball games to
Hmm.
pay for my marketing here. So I did that at
Yeah.
night, and I worked on this business during the day. So I don't
Hmm.
want to say, hey, you can't have a part time job that help you support it and get it
Yeah.
going. But man, you really just need to be honest with your clients. That hey, I don't get
Yes.
off till 5, so
Hmm.
if you need something, don't expect a call from me until after 5 o'clock. But
Right. And like you said, I mean, there are plenty of people who work, other jobs because I think in this industry getting going, you do have to work another job or have another support system because this is not an overnight paycheck.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but you're right. Just be honest and maybe find a good other job to balance. When I was in my early 20s, I bartended. That was a night gig.
oh, okay,
So that's what I did. And then during the day I did real estate. And so I didn't really have a life for a couple of years, but it's worth it. It's what I
right,
wanted to do. So
right.
yeah.
Well, is there a time you've got the a bigger family coming along in July? Is
Mhm.
there a time where you feel like, all right, I want to kind of walk away from this in this many years? Or, I mean, you're so young, you've got a lot of earning potential over your lifetime. But do you see yourself as building your business to where you can sell it or just walk away from it at some point?
Um, I don't think I would ever walk away. I'm probably biased being in the industry, but I still think real estate is one of the best things you can invest in. I'm not well versed in like stocks or things like that, but to me, real estate, I even had like another colleague of mine just say, like, if you own property in 2008, for example, you didn't lose. You sold that property for much, much more 2 years later. So
Right.
I just, I don't think I'll ever be out of it. The goal right now is to continue to grow our team, because I do, you don't ever want to take time away from your family, regardless of what you do. So I do want to continue to grow our team, have that set up where we do have, specific buyer agents and seller agents, and then, kind of monitor from the office if I need to. But that's also where the like the investment properties, like our rentals and our fix and flips, that's something where, I can do on my own time, but it's still another avenue of income. So just things like that. But we'll continue to grow. These last couple of years, I've gotten into like commercial as well, which is really fun. But you really got to know your stuff in commercial, because
Really.
that's a quick lawsuit right there if you don't.
So that's another podcast. We can have another podcast on that by itself.
Right. So,
So,
but yeah, no, the goal is just to continue to grow our family company. We've had several bigger brokerages try to buy or merge or whatever. We don't want to do that. We want to be authentic and just be the family company that we say we are, and grow that as big as we can. And so
okay.
that's what I'm here to. That's what I'm excited to do. Not
And you
just
said
for.
you had how many agents under
Uh,
Keys, Texas?
yeah. So I think we've got somewhere around 70 agents right now is what we've
Okay.
got.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Great.
so it's been really good. Not all of them are full timers, but our top ones that produce do really, really well. And so
Yeah.
we're excited. So
Okay. Well, I told you that 30 minutes would fly by. We're at
I know.
41 right now. Can you believe
Yeah.
that? It
Yeah.
blows my mind. I guess I need to say, all right, guys, this is going to be two 30-minute podcasts, and we'll release them the same week. I don't know, but
Right.
you get to talking about what you do and why you love it, and it just flies by. So I want to ask a few more questions,
Yeah.
and one main question, and then I have a lightning round that I like to go on.
Okay.
But what is one thing personally that you have always wanted to do that you haven't done yet, but you're like, okay, I'm still going to do that. One day I'm going to do that.
Yeah. That is like a really great question, because it's something that I'm working on currently. I've got a great mentor for it, but that is to invest in multifamily, the apartment complex situation.
Okay.
Um, so that what I'm working on, but ideally, like ultimate end goal would be to get into subdivision development. That is so interesting to me. I would
Really?
really love to, and I've got a mentor slash builder, developer, whatever you want to call it, that's done it, that's doing it, and he's kind of showing me the ropes of everything. And so to
Hmm.
be able to do that on my own one day, even if it's just a small, 30 home, 20 home community, that would be, I would feel probably like king of the world at that point.
I have another podcast. It's called Inside
Hmm.
Houston Real Estate, and we had a planner the other
Yeah.
day on, and his episode will air in a couple of weeks. But he was talking about that and all the
Yeah.
research was that's required that you don't even think of, and you're like, wow, I would not have thought about that. And it was a very interesting conversation. You'll have to
Mhm.
go listen to it, but it's called
Yeah.
Inside Houston Real Estate, and Ron Ruthven was the guest, and
Okay.
he's been a city planner for a long time. So anyway, you may enjoy that. All right, it's
Yeah.
lightning round time. I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
No, not at all. That was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm ready.
Okay. So here's some lightning round questions.
Okay.
Um, Favorite author or speaker?
Oh my God. Oh, I don't know. I do listen to or I did listen to like a lot of Warren Buffett type situations.
Yeah.
Some of the really amazing speakers that I've heard actually come from a conference as of lately. There's a guy named Cash Money Mike. He's on Instagram. There is Ricardo Rosales. He's like been a really great mentor speaker. I go to a lot of their conferences.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but
Okay. Great.
yeah.
Great. A favorite vacation spot?
Uh, I want to say Greece, but best time ever, Puerto Rico. Just hands down, Puerto
Really?
Rico. Yeah.
I've never been to either, but Greece was it's always on my bucket list as well.
That was a
It's-
honeymoon trip. It was phenomenal. It was great.
Really? I'll have to.
Yeah.
Well, if when I get ready to go, I'll reach out to you and say, "Hey, what are some
Yes.
must dos here at Greece?"
Yeah. We were there for 2 weeks. So I'll let you
Oh
know.
my gosh,
Yeah.
what a honeymoon!
Yeah.
That's nice. Favorite pastime or hobby
Uh,
besides
yeah.
keeping your 2-year-old? I know that's a full-time job.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. I love to run a lot. Just kind of being out like in nature. I don't have to be in the office or anything. I'm out finding like a new trail, pond, park, that kind of thing. Big volleyball person. So
Really?
yeah.
Did you play volleyball in high school and college or anything like that?
So I played a little bit in middle school, but
Okay.
I wish I would have played in high school. Didn't do it, but just
Yeah.
on the side, friends, things like that. Yeah.
Well, cool. All right. Favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Oh my goodness. I don't know, and I'm a big movie person too. Like I love watching all the old movies and stuff. Um, oh my God, I can't think of it off the top of my head, but why can't Goldie Hawn's daughter, Kate
Oh,
Hudson? Yeah,
yeah, I can't think of her name either.
that
I know
movie
who you're
she's
talking
in,
about though.
right? That movie she's in where she's like traveling with the rock band. I don't know why I
Yes.
can't think of it right now.
Okay.
Uh, but those types of movies, Detroit Rock City, I love all those like older vintage movies, I guess. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay, the last one. Who is your favorite sports team?
Favorite sports team. If we're gonna go for, let's just say football, like I'll say the Saints, and that's not even because I'm a huge football fan, but just because I absolutely love New Orleans. We will go
Yeah.
like multiple times a year.
Oh,
So,
you do. That's so pretty.
anytime
Well,
the football's on anywhere, it's just I love the Saints. So that's what we're
yeah.
going for.
Well, they're one of the guys that I used to follow in high school. Um, Drew Brees. He's
Mhm.
from Austin, and he was quarterback of Westlake High School,
Yeah,
and we used to go watch him every Friday night.
yeah.
And we watched him from the time he was a freshman in high school, all the way until he, retired from the NFL.
Oh my
And that
gosh.
guy is amazing to me.
Yeah. I guess,
So,
and like I said, I've never been like super into sports, but I did follow, Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football's whole
yeah,
career until he
yeah,
kind of crashed out.
you're
So
right, right.
I do love college football over NFL like any day.
Oh,
Just the
me as
atmosphere and the
well.
energy. Yeah.
You're right. I have season tickets to A&M, and just
Oh,
the
nice.
passion that is in that stadium and the band and all the stuff that goes
Yeah,
on. It is so much more fun than pro. It's just
definitely.
hands down
And
more
cheaper.
fun.
So
Well, look, Cory, I can't thank you enough for
yeah.
giving me almost an hour of your time, and man, it's been really good to get to know you a little bit, and I'll reach out from time to time to see if there's something we can help you with, and
Mhm.
but man, it's been great having you on, and very easy to see why you're doing so well in this business.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been awesome. It's great to meet you, and I definitely will come to some of the coffee trips.
Yes, I will get
Do
you
that.
the invite. And so, just to wrap things up,
Mhm.
what is, I know we got your number scrolling on the bottom,
Yes.
281-433-0999.
Mhm.
So, is that the best way to get you, or is there an email that they could use, or a website they would go to if they're wanting to join or
Mhm.
talk to you about joining your team?
Yeah, so that phone number, I mean, my phone stays glued to my hand. So that is my direct line, call, text anytime. I do have an email, a direct email, and we also have our company website that I can provide too. So
Okay.
Key to Texas Realty, that's the name of our brokerage. So our website is just www.keytotexasrealty, just as it's spelled, .com. And
Okay.
yeah, so
And we'll have all of that information in the description of the
okay.
podcast and YouTube channel description as well. So if you missed that, we just look in the description and it'll be there. So thank
Okay.
you again, Cory,
Yeah,
for
thank you.
joining us. But you've been great. You were nervous, but you were like an all-star.
Awesome. Good.
All right, guys, we want to
Thanks.
thank you for joining us today on Real Estate Pros of Houston. I'm Mark Zachary, the broker and owner of Next Step Home Loans. We do loans all over the state of Texas. And so if you have any questions on financing, we'd be glad to answer those. My office number is 832-504-9014 or Mark at nextstephomeloans.com. And we'll answer any questions that you've got. But until then, we'll see you next week on Real Estate Pros of Houston. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Real Estate Pros of Houston. Follow us on Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple, and iHeartRadio, and check out our main website at nextstephomeloans.com for more information on mortgage news, loan programs, and getting pre-approved for a home loan or set up a quick home buying consultation. We'll see you next week with another episode of Real Estate Pros of Houston.